really like the idea of the Rainbow High costume ball line, and since it's spooky season, well, end of spooky season, I decided on expanding the line. First and foremost, I'll be using pre-existing characters, of which being Kermit Major, Delilah Fields, Kaya Hart for Rainbow High, with their themes being Unicorn, Barfly Fairy, and Mermaid respectively. As for Shadow High, I've chosen Ezra Grayson, Natasha Zima, and Chanel Onyx, with their themes being Undead Queen, Devil, and Angel respectively. Secondly, I'm designing these with functionality not being a focal point, but I will at least try for some. I would have recorded all of my design process, the sketching and stuff, but alas, I design better when I can draw, whenever. So I'll just be showing you the sketches and explaining it and stuff. I also did this all traditionally, because if I did it digitally, I'd be dead. Starting with Carmen, she was actually the main reason as to why I decided to do this. I made her unicorn costume last year, and after seeing the release of Costume Ball, I was admittedly a little bit disappointed, and again, I personally just don't like Violet as a character. No comment on her or any of the Costume Ball dolls, because I personally don't like judging dolls that I don't have. I understand why they chose the characters that they did, more or less. I'm assuming the reason is for the show, but this isn't for the show, so I pretty much have free reign on which characters I can choose. Alrighty, here's Carmen. I would say this is my first sketch, but it's not. First sketch was a year ago. Little stripes are supposed to be the rainbow, have little clouds with matching glitter on them. And here's her horn, and I was I'm trying not to spoil Kaya's right there. I ended up making her horn headband because how else was I gonna attach a horn to her head? Except for I don't know, screw it in, I guess. I ended up changing her earrings to something more simple because, I don't know, I just wasn't really feeling this design. Also, you'll see a design later on also has earrings with dangly bits. And I try not to repeat myself a lot, but it can't really be helped because I have specific taste in fashion. Or I mean just designing in general. There's some designs for overseer idea. There's the makeup. I'm not sure how well it can be achieved in doll form, but a girl can dream. And here's her dress from the front view. Makeup again, and that little cuff thing. I don't know what it's called, but I love it. Here's the pose I sketched for Carmen. I wanted it to be vaguely reminiscent of the actual poses the art is typically in, because if you thought that I'd be drawing in a Rainbow High art style, then I'm so sorry to disappoint you. I can't. Moving on to the time lapses. First start sketch, then the line art, then the coloring. Unfortunately for Carmen, I wasn't able to film a lot for the time lapses for because I was having storage issues. I figured it out, so everything else has a time lapse except for Carmen. So I'm sorry about that. I also filmed these over a period of days, so I tried my best to keep it consistent, but if things are moving, I'm sorry, just know I did my best. Also, I just completely forgot to mention the tail that I added. As for her shoes, I wanted to look like hooves, but not sure how well that turned out. I mean, you can sort of tell, maybe, once the coloring starts. Like I've stated earlier, I wasn't able to record everything, so the line art's now done, and now I'm doing some swatches. And after I'm done with that, I'll be moving on to the coloring. I'll be using watercolors, specifically watercolor pencils, except I'm not using them right, I know, but it's the way I like to color. And if it works, it works. time lapses, I decided to give progress updates instead. I was definitely talking about some over these clips, but the audio was so bad that I couldn't tell you what I was talking about. First, Vinny is covering Chanel because I was figuring out the pose. Secondly, I was gonna leave her dress to be mainly white, but I feel like blue really complements her well, so I might have went a little overboard with it. But yeah, this is just me thinking about it. Here's the finished piece, and I really like how she turned out. There of course could be some improvements, such as I could have developed the headpiece more, because the way I did it, it's a bit messy. Regarding the lipstick, I'd keep the top lip, but the bottom lip I would have changed into like the other half of the rainbow. I should have tested out beforehand, but I didn't. But yeah, other than that, I'm really happy with how she turned out. Here's my first sketch of Delilah, and I gotta admit, I love this design way more than the actual finished piece. Like, it probably has to do with the contrast of it, because I wanted her to be like a pastel butterfly, so a lot of contrast just kind of went. I also like shorten her sleeves because like Poppy, junior high Poppy has it, so I decided I should probably exclude that. I also it was kind of a positive because you wouldn't be able to see her jewelry if she had those big sleeves. Here's the second sketch I did. Now with butterfly wings. I wanted to lean a little more into the fairy aspect, so I gave her like little antennas, or antennae. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's whatever. It's about time to mention that I am terrible when it comes to line art. You'll see very clearly that I messed up with her glasses and her wings later on, kind of. I mean, I mess up on all of them throughout this video, so I try my best to amend those mistakes the best I can. Again, I did prefer the initial sketch. I did, however, I wanted pastels, and I got pastels, so I can't really complain. I feel like making the white part of her wings also semi-translucent will help. I'm sorry if you can hear the baby in the background. I'm a bit sad about the fact that you can't see her makeup fully, but at least you're able to see it in sketch form. Lastly, for Rainbow High, we have Kaya. I feel like her hair blend says mermaid. Either that or Easter. Now, I had like vague colors in mind, and I probably should have blocked out all the colors before I started coloring, but I only did that like after I started coloring. I know it's unprofessional, but that's kind of how I roll. And it was at this point in coloring when I realized how similar her color palette turned out to be to J3 Laguna. I did not mean for that to happen, but it was at this point I was like, okay, I need to make her color palette as far away from hers as possible, because we don't want a lawsuit on our hands, okay? I noticed, or at least I remember, J3 Laguna does not have a lot of purple in hers, so I went ahead and added more purple to the design. I may have forgotten to add the sea star to the side of her dress, so there's kind of a line going through it. My bad. I do really like her design, particularly the platforms, and like the pattern on the side of her dress. You know, it didn't turn out bad. And like, you can barely see it, but it had little sea creatures to it. It's very cute in my opinion. And now for the superior school, that is Shadow High. Of course, I'm not being like serious about this, but I do prefer them. They are way more chaotic than Rainbow High, and I love them for it. Basically, what you just saw was the first sketch of Heather. I was not happy with how it turned out, so I stepped back, came back a few days later, and this is what I came up with. I'm a lot happier with it, so that's always a good thing. In Heather's bio, it basically says she loves Halloween and it means a lot to her, so I knew immediately that I wanted to make her a Queen of Swords. I really love her skeleton jacket, so I leaned heavy into it and decided on an undead vibe, hence Undead Queen. I have not studied the skeletal anatomy in a hot minute, so if something's off, it's either my artistic interpretation or I just need to restudy. Now I was like very conflicted on her like ribcage skirt thing because I had no idea how it would function. But I was like, okay, how about I add a crack into what is maybe is a sternum and spine, and like it would would split into two parts, and that's how it would be removed. Maybe. Again, functionality is not a focal point, but I like to think about it sometimes. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like she isn't really giving queen when you first see her. Maybe I could have extended her cage skirt to make it more like big and regal. But, I mean, other than that, I think she turned out great. I'm particularly fond of how the shoes turn out, yet again. Here are my sketches of Natasha. I know angels are typically depicted as white, and so if I were to do a double an angel scene, which I am, you'd expect me to choose Natasha for the angel. And it's for that exact reason as to why I decided to give her the double theme instead. Here's my design for the shoe, as well as some makeup ideas. Some of them were Chanel's, but I did end up choosing them. And some ideas for her earrings, one of which I did end up going with. Careful with it for obvious reasons, even knowing that I probably messed up on her the hardest, in my opinion. I think what happened was I was really concentrated on her shoes, and I was thinking, okay, you know, these didn't turn out as bad as I thought they would. I was feeling a little confident, so I went in with her face, and yeah, maybe that wasn't the best idea. So her face was a little messed up. I did my best to fix it, but I mean, you'll see her face at the end, so. And here Tasha is all done, and I keep saying this, but I really love how her shoes came out, and I really love her harness. I think I know this is functional simply because I've made it in real life. And by this, I mean what is maybe her harness. If you can tell at this point, I'm not the best when it comes to knowing the names of things. But other than that, I think she turned out stinking cute, and I love her. Oh boy, what we have as last but most certainly not least, Chanel. She was probably the one I was most excited for, while also be the one I was dreading the most, because I wanted to add a Rococo. And you probably don't know this about me, but I kind of suck at patterns, particularly detailed patterns, so this was gonna be a challenge for me. I'd also like to point out the little wowza emoji that I put next to her, because is she not the moment everything was absolutely gobsmacked, stun-locked. She is just... I love Chanel so much. And here's the sketch of Chanel that I was blocking out earlier in this video. And as well as the makeup I was trying to figure out for her, I ended up going with that one. I am so glad I went in and challenged myself to do patterns, because I'm speechless. I adore Rococo architecture, so she's giving everything. I don't know how her wings would attach functionality-wise, but at least I know her halo would work, probably, right? No need for that stick when you could just place it on top of her head, you know? If you've made it to the end of the video, then I thank you humbly, seriously, genuinely. I'll probably continue to expand pre-existing or even make up new lines for Rainbow High / Shadow High, just maybe without inking the liner art, maybe, probably. and just keeping it pencil because I feel like it would look a lot better if I did that instead. So overall, I'm really happy with how all these designs turned out. I know I'll probably be posting this late, but thanks for watching and happy Halloween.